Hello, boys and girls. We've got a new toy and a new tool. It's from, I found out about it from a friend who has a YouTube channel, Jerome. If you go to YouTube and search for Jerome exjw, you'll find his channel, very good channel. He found this AI assistant, which was written by a brother and when I say brother, I mean a Jehovah's Witness, in Colombia, in Bogotá, Colombia, and his goal was to provide an excellent tool, which it is, for Jehovah's Witnesses to get information about their own faith, to do research quickly and easily. Of course, with the idea that their faith is based on the Bible. Of course, everything that this AI does is strictly in line with JW teaching and doctrine. However, I have a feeling that this brother, his name is Yesid, I think it was, Yesid Blanco, is going to be approached very soon and told to take it down because the organization really doesn't like things like this. You see, it doesn't want to give people the ability to question it. And that's what an AI does. It acts as if it were the governing body. You know, you write into the governing body and saying, I don't get this thing. Why does 144,000 have to be a literal number? Can't it be symbolic? And they'll give you an answer which won't be satisfying. You'll go ask again, and they might answer a second time. But if you try a third time, they'll send the elders around because obviously you're a troublemaker. So this AI doesn't do that, of course. It just tries to answer as best it can. And it helps us to really see how twisted and the logic that they use is, and how dependent it is on speculation, assumptions, and human interpretation. Basically, the very epitome of eisegesis. So here it is. As you can see here, you can go to your browser and type in jw.softwcloud.com, and you'll bring up Sarah. Sarah was written in Spanish, so it keeps coming back with Spanish. You have to switch it over to English, but it still tends to answer in Spanish from time to time, so it's good to ask questions in English or French or whatever language you want to put into it, and then tell it to respond in that language. So I asked it, can you give me the scriptural basis for the teaching that only 144,000 make up the anointed brothers of Christ? And it did. It gave this, but it was in Spanish. So I asked it again, this time asking answer in English, and it gave this. Notice that it talks about the Lamb, symbolic, standing on Mount Zion, symbolic, with 144,000 literal, and therewith before the throne, symbolic, and the four living creatures, symbolic, and the elders, symbolic. So they just cherry pick one thing and say, well, that's got to be literal. Well, anyways, I asked for a little more details. Please provide scriptural proof that Revelation 7:4 refers to a literal number, 144,000, even though this number is the sum of 12 symbolic numbers drawn from 12 symbolic tribes. So I pushed a little bit, and it gave this much longer answer, right? Still coming to the conclusion that it must be literal. Now, I'll post this on my website, Bereans.net. You'll see a link in the description below when this video is out. But instead of just reading through all this now, which takes time, and then trying to pick it apart logically, there's a much easier way to do that. And that is to utilize another AI, which is ChatGPT. So I asked it to explain first that this was a post from Sarah, an AI, that promotes the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. I asked her to justify from Scripture the organization's belief that the 144,000 of Revelation 7:4 is a literal number. Examine her answer, looking for logical inconsistencies and unscriptural reasoning. And then I posted her answer here. And here you can see the response. It breaks it down by fundamental logical inconsistencies. It finds several of those. Let's see how many. Five logical inconsistencies. Then under unscriptural reasonings and assumptions, it finds 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And then structural problems in her reasoning. It finds a number of those as well. Here's the conclusion. It's that Sarah's response suppresses key contextual evidence, applies arbitrary literalism, depends on watchtower doctrinal assumptions, ignores symbolic numerology, misuses Revelation 14, relies on circular reasoning, and asserts concepts nowhere found in Scripture. Let's just look at the first one of these. Sarah argues the tribes are symbolic, but the total number is literal. In Revelation, when symbolic components are given, the total is also symbolic. And it gives 3 examples from Revelation 1:20. Lampstands are symbolic, stars are symbolic, the total number 7 is symbolic. 12, Revelation 12, the woman, the dragon, the child, all symbolic. The time periods, 1260 days, 42 months, 3.5 years are also symbolic. Revelation 13, the beast has 7 heads and 10 horns, and the number is 666, all symbolic. Nowhere in apocalyptic literature does God present symbolic units plus symbolic arrangement equaling a literal sum. This is a watchtower invented hermeneutic, not a biblical one. If the tribes do not exist literally and the selection is not literally 12,000 from each tribe, then the total 12 times 12,000 cannot logically be literal. If the ingredients are imaginary, the recipe output is not literal. And then there's the contrast of the great crowd. This is key to it. It keeps thinking the great crowd is different from the 144,000. Since the great crowd is innumerable, Sarah reasons that 144,000 must be literal, but that does not follow. An uncountable group can be contrasted with a symbolic number just as easily as with a literal one. Symbolic numbers often serve as archetypes of completeness. And it gives some examples here. Symbolic numbers distinguish symbolic groups just fine. Countable versus uncountable is simply not evidence that the countable number is literal. Then it goes on to the other distinctions it makes. It relies a great deal on assumptions. I won't go into all of them. I'll post it on my website so you can read them for yourself. But let's have a little fun with Sarah, okay? Let's ask her another question. So I might as well tell Sarah who she's up against. I ran your answer through ChatGPT and it found some logical inconsistencies. For example, and then I posted the first item from that list. How do you respond? Question mark. That is a very insightful and logical critique, and I thank you for presenting it. Interpreting the book of Revelation requires great care to understand when numbers are figurative and when they are literal. Okay, the objection you raised that symbolic ingredients should produce a symbolic sum is valid when applied to most apocalyptic literature. However, based on the truth we practice, we look to the internal evidence of the text within Revelation 7 itself to determine the meaning of the 144,000. Here is the response. Based on what we understand from the Bible, the crucial contrast in Revelation 7, we do not base our understanding solely on the symbolic nature of the tribes, which we agree are symbolic, representing the complete organized selection of spiritual Israel. Instead, we focus on the deliberate contrast that God presents immediately within the same chapter between the two groups saved. 144,000, Revelation 7:4, this group is given a specific fixed number. Well, that's the whole point. We're arguing it's not. It's given a symbolic number. The great crowd, this group is described as a great crowd which no man is able to number. If the 144,000 were also intended to be a symbolic, indeterminate multitude, like the great crowd, the inspired writer would have used similar language, such as countless, innumerable, or a multitude. The fact that the two groups are presented back to back, one with a precise number and one with an expressly uncountable number, compels us to conclude that the 144,000 must be a literal limited group set aside for the specific purpose of ruling in heaven. Symbolic components serving a literal count. From the perspective of the faith I practice, see, these are eisegetical terms. The faith that she practices, therefore, her belief must be made to fit within what the scriptures say. That's eisegesis. Continuing, the symbolic elements serve to guarantee the legitimacy and completeness of the selection, not to making the resulting number vague or figurative. 12 God's organization times 12 God's organization times 1,000, completeness, vastness, 144,000. Sounds like she's talking about symbolism here. The selection process is symbolic of God's perfect, organized, and complete work among spiritual Israel. But the final census, the total number admitted to the heavenly ruling class, is definitely fixed. I'm sorry, she's just argued for symbology, and then she's changing her mind. As the Bible states concerning the great crowd in Revelation 7:9, after this I saw and look a great crowd, which no man was able to number, out of all nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes, and there are palm branches in their hands. The contrast between 144,000, and which no man was able to number, is for us scriptural proof that the former figure is intended literally. Okie dokie, let's just take that and put it back into chat. I mean, I can see flaws already, but I'd like to see what chat produces for us. Here we go into chat. It already knows what I want. She's just restating the same thing, but she doesn't really answer. It's quite right. The great crowd is unnumbered. The 144,000 must be literal. This is not a valid conclusion, logically or biblically. If A has a number and B does not, that does not prove A is literal. If it only proves A has a symbolic number, B does not. The claim one is numbered, therefore literal, is baseless. Symbolic visions commonly include numbers to denote structure or completeness, not an actual number. The great crowd is numbered, just not by humans. That's true. It is a number that no man can number, but God, he knows the number. God numbers all his people. The great crowd is innumerable to humans. Now notice this, the 144,000 are heard, not seen, indicating symbolism. The contrast is visionary, not doctrinal. No scripture says because one group is countless, the other group must be literal. Number 6, Revelation 7 uses I heard versus I saw, a crucial symbolic device. John hears the census, 144,000. Then he sees the great multitude. This mirrors Revelation 7. John hears the Lion of Judah. John sees a lamb that was slain. Both refer to the same entity, Christ, from different symbolic perspectives. Therefore, what John hears is not equal to what John sees. They are symbolic perspectives on the same group. Many scholars recognize this literary pattern. Thus, the 144,000 of the great crowd are two ways of describing the same redeemed community. One symbolic, heard, one visual, seen. All right, let's take that and throw it back at her. See what she says with that. A highly perceptive and scholarly analysis highlighting important literary patterns used in Revelation, such as the contrast between I heard and I saw. I respect the depth of your observation regarding Revelation 5. Lion of Judah versus Lamb that was slain. And it's possible application to Revelation 7. Well, at least he's admitting it's possible. Based on the understanding derived from the Bible that guides the faith I practice, there we get back with eisegesis. Here is how we respond to those points. So she says, I believe this, I'm going to try to prove it. Okay, so I'm going to just throw this right back into ChatGPT to see what, because she said a lot of stuff here. I want to see what it says to counter it. Her claim that I heard and I saw cannot apply to Revelation collapses under the text itself. In Revelation 7, the two groups are distinct because they have different descriptions and appear sequentially. But this argument misunderstands how apocalyptic visions work. After this does not mean a new group. After this is a stock phrase John uses simply to indicate a new scene in the same vision, not a new entity. Very true. Revelation 4:1, John is told after these things, but sees the same heavenly throne room. 7:1, after this, introduces the sealing of the 144,000 within the same sixth seal vision. 7:9, again, after this, yet it is still the sixth seal content, not a new category of Christians. Revelation 15:5, after this, introduces a temple scene, but the actors are the same angels from earlier. After this is a literary transition, not group differentiation. Revelation 7 uses the same literary device at Revelation 5. Watch the structure. Revelation 5, John hears, Lion of Judah. John sees, Lamb that was slain. Different descriptions, different symbols, same person. Revelation 7, John hears 144,000 from Israel. John sees a great crowd from all nations, different descriptions, different symbols, same redeemed people. Many scholars have identified this as a deliberate parallel structure. Sarah acknowledges the device in Revelation 5, but arbitrarily denies it in Revelation 7, because admitting it destroys the JW doctrine. This is selective interpretation, not exegesis. Quite right, it's eisegesis. But what we can see is the depth to which she must go to try to prove these things. Revelation, I like this one, Revelation 7, great crowd is described in heavenly terms, contradicting JW teaching. Sarah says the great crowd are earthly survivors. Okay, but she doesn't prove that. She doesn't provide any scripture to prove that. Revelation says they stand before the throne, serve God in his temple, are shepherded by the Lamb at the springs of life. All of these locations are heavenly in Revelation. No one on earth stands before God's throne in Revelation. No one on earth serves in the temple in Revelation. No one on earth drinks from the springs of life in Revelation. To make the great crowd earthly, the watchtower must redefine throne, redefine temple, redefine before God, redefine the scene's location. None of these redefinitions come from Scripture. I'll end it there because otherwise this will get too long. I will put all of this information on the Bereans.net website so that you can see all of it in detail and study it at your leisure. I just wanted to show you how to use this tool, contrast it with ChatGPT, or if you want just your own logic, and just slowly take apart, make her answer every assertion that she makes, because she will make assertions that are not based on Scripture. She'll even say, the Scriptures indicate, because I've already done this, right? I've already gone through a few hours with her. The Scripture will indicate this, or Scripture will indicate that. You say, oh, fine, very good. What Scriptures? You see, and then she'll come back with, obviously, Scriptures that don't say that at all. You have to make assumptions. And anyway, I've said enough. I'll do some more of these as the days go by. I hope that she will be up for quite a while. I hope the Watchtower doesn't shut her down too quickly, because it's a great way for people like you and me to break free of the indoctrination by seeing how weak it is, how much it is based on human speculation, assumptions. They just want you to accept their interpretation without looking too deeply into things. Bye for now.